Tell me, are you tired? Tired of waking up every day, feeling like you're meant for more but never actually becoming more? Tired of being trapped in the same cycles? Distraction, procrastination, wasted time, while deep down, you know you could be unstoppable if you just had the discipline to break free. Are you sick of watching others rise while you stay stagnant? Are you exhausted from living in the gray zone of mediocrity, where you're not failing badly enough to change but not winning enough to feel alive? Good, because that means you're ready. See, the difference between those who rise and those who fade isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't intelligence. It's discipline. But not the kind of discipline they've been feeding you. This idea that you have to force yourself into suffering, that you have to rely on endless willpower, that you have to be perfect every second of the day. That's why you've failed before. Because that's not how true discipline works. True discipline is about hacking your own mind, bending your desires to your will, turning weakness into power. It's about mastering yourself so completely that success is no longer a choice. It's the only outcome. And that's exactly what you're about to learn. Lesson 1. Leverage your desires. Tell me, how much energy have you wasted fighting yourself? How many hours have you spent resisting distractions, suppressing urges, battling temptations, only to lose over and over again? You know what I'm talking about. That endless cycle. You set a goal. You tell yourself you'll be disciplined. You make promises. And then, the cravings creep in. The distractions whisper your name. You fall. You hate yourself for it. And then you do it all over again. And why? Because you've been fighting the wrong battle. They told you discipline means denial. That success requires you to kill your desires, to starve your impulses, to shut down every part of you that craves pleasure. And for how long? How long can you hold back the flood before it drowns you? But here's the truth. The strongest people, the most disciplined, the most powerful, they don't fight their desires. They bend them to their will. They take what others call distractions, what others call weaknesses, and they turn them into tools. So tell me, why are you still at war with yourself? Your desires are not the enemy. Let's get one thing straight. Desire is not your enemy. Temptation is not your enemy. Your cravings, your hunger, your urge for pleasure, they are power. The problem isn't that you want dopamine. The problem is that you've let it be controlled by things that do nothing for you. You've trained your brain to chase mindless entertainment, quick fixes, and cheap rewards instead of something that actually builds you. It's time to reprogram yourself. How to leverage your desires for power. You don't fight against your instincts. You redirect them. You turn your cravings into your greatest weapon. Here's how. 1. Want dopamine? Make progress addictive. Right now, your brain is wired to chase what's easy. Scrolling, gaming, junk food, whatever floods your system with quick dopamine. But dopamine is just a chemical. It doesn't care where it comes from. So make it come from your goals. Turn your work into a game. Set clear milestones. Track your progress. Attach rewards to tasks. Small wins get small rewards. Big wins get something major. Break down large goals into micro wins, so your brain gets frequent hits of dopamine from progress, not just completion. The same rush you get from social media, from junk food, from distractions. You can make your brain crave achievement just as much, if you train it. 2. Love chaos. Build a system that thrives in it. Some people can live by rigid schedules. If that's you, great. But if routine kills you, stop forcing it. Instead of trying to create discipline through control, embrace unpredictability and use it as a weapon. Set flexible work challenges. Instead of forcing yourself into the same routine every day, make your work unpredictable. Give yourself missions, time-based challenges, shifting environments. Gamify your effort. Assign yourself unexpected obstacles. Create random reward systems. Keep yourself on edge in a way that keeps you engaged. Create productive chaos. If you need variety, rotate your work style. Work in sprints. Change locations. Change tempos. Make it a game where the only rule is that you have to win. Stop trying to be someone you're not. Use your nature instead of fighting against it. 3. Make your vices work for you. Instead of feeling guilty about your distractions, find a way to link them to progress. Addictive personality? Good. Get addicted to self-improvement. Love social media? Fine. Use it to document your growth and keep yourself accountable. Crave competition? Perfect. Find a rival. Make your goals a battle. Turn your ambition into a fight you refuse to lose. If something pulls at you, find a way to make it pull you towards something that actually benefits you. 3. Set hard boundaries. Indulgence isn't the enemy, but losing control is. You have to define clear rules. If you schedule a cheat meal, it's one meal, not an entire weekend of garbage. If you allow yourself a break, it's 30 minutes, not a whole wasted day. If you indulge in a distraction, you stop when the time is up. You are not weak for indulging, but you are weak if you can't stop. 4. Break, but don't collapse. When most people take breaks, they fall apart. They indulge once and let it spiral out of control. Not you. You control your indulgence. You take what you need, then you get back to work. One day off is fine. A week of slacking is not. A scheduled distraction is fine. An uncontrolled addiction is not. A planned indulgence is fine. Losing yourself to it is not. You are not here to be a slave to your desires. You are here to make them serve you. 4. Use pleasure as fuel, not as an escape. You don't have to cut out pleasure. You just have to earn it. Make a rule. No dopamine without progress. You want to watch a show? Do something productive first. You want to eat something unhealthy? Only if you worked for it. You want to indulge in distractions? Fine. But only as a reward, never as an escape. This flips your brain's programming. Instead of seeing hard work as suffering, it starts to see it as the key to getting what you want. 5. Rewire your identity. The final piece is the most powerful. Change who you believe you are. Stop calling yourself lazy. Stop saying you have no discipline. Those words are shackles. Start telling yourself, out loud, that you are someone who bends their desires to their will. Every time you take control, every time you turn a craving into a tool, reinforce it. Say it. Feel it. Become it. Because once you start seeing yourself as the master of your own mind, you become unstoppable. Discipline is not denial. It's domination. Understand this. The strongest people aren't those who deny themselves pleasure. The strongest people are those who control the source of their pleasure. You will always crave. You will always want more. That's human nature. The only question is, will you be a slave to those desires, or will you be their master? Because in the end, it's not about fighting yourself. It's about making every part of you, your instincts, your cravings, your distractions, work for you. The battle isn't about suppression. It's about control. It's about domination. And once you learn to bend your desires to your will, once you rewire your mind to chase what builds you instead of what wastes you, you become something else entirely. You become dangerous. Lesson 1 is over. Now what will you do with it? Lesson 2. Strategic indulgence. Let me ask you something. How many times have you burned out trying to be perfect? How many times have you started a new habit, a new goal, a new plan, only to go all in, push too hard, and then collapse under the weight of your own expectations? You tell yourself, this time will be different. You'll be disciplined. You'll cut out distractions. You'll work harder than ever before. And for a while you do. You wake up early. You grind. You push through exhaustion. But then, the cracks form. The fatigue sets in. The motivation fades. The urges grow stronger. And before you know it, you're back where you started, drowning in the same distractions you swore you'd escape. Why? Because you made the same mistake that destroys most people. You thought discipline meant perfection. But perfection is a lie. Nobody is perfectly disciplined 24/7. Not the most successful people. Not the most powerful. Not even the ones who seem unstoppable. The difference is that they don't break under pressure, because they don't deny themselves relief. They understand something you don't. Discipline isn't about never indulging. It's about controlling when and how you do it. That's strategic indulgence, the ability to schedule your weaknesses so they never have the power to destroy you. Let me show you how it works. The trap of forced perfection. You've seen it before. The person who swears they'll never eat sugar again, then caves and binges on an entire week's worth in one night. The one who decides to quit social media, then finds themselves scrolling for hours after just one quick check. The one who grinds at work nonstop, only to burn out and disappear into laziness for weeks. Do you see the pattern? When you try to force absolute control, you create an imbalance. And nature hates imbalance. Your brain isn't wired for endless self-denial. It will fight back. And when it does, you won't just slip, you'll crash. This is why so many people fail. Because instead of structuring their indulgence, they try to eliminate it. Instead of planning their breaks, they force themselves into suffering until their own mind rebels against them. The truth? You don't need to eliminate indulgence. You need to weaponize it. Here's how. How to use strategic indulgence to stay unbreakable. Instead of fighting temptation until you snap, you control when, where, and how you indulge. You don't binge, you don't break, you give yourself permission, but on your terms. 1. Schedule your weaknesses. If you try to quit something cold turkey, your brain will crave it even more. So instead of denying yourself completely, control when you allow it. If you love junk food, don't cut it out forever. Pick one day where you eat what you want, then get back on track. If you crave social media, schedule a time to use it guilt-free. Instead of mindlessly scrolling all day, set a 20-minute window where you indulge, then shut it down. If you work non-stop, plan your downtime. Don't wait until you collapse. Take a controlled break before your brain forces one on you. When indulgence is on your schedule, it never becomes a weakness. It becomes a tool. 2. Turn your indulgence into a reward. If you give yourself pleasure before you've earned it, it weakens you. But if you attach it to achievement, it strengthens you. You want to watch TV? Fine. But only after you've completed your work for the day. You want to go out and party? Great. But only if you've hit your fitness goal that week. You want to relax and do nothing? Perfect. But only if you've been productive first. This rewires your brain. Instead of seeing discipline as suffering, it sees it as the path to the rewards you already crave. Why this works. The balance of power. Imagine your discipline is a battery. If you never recharge it, it dies. And when it dies, you lose control. You lose momentum. You fall into chaos. But if you recharge it strategically, it stays full. It stays powerful. You never burn out. You never break. This is why the strongest people aren't the ones who push until they collapse. They are the ones who know when to stop and when to go. They rest before they need to. They indulge before they snap. They take control before they lose control. That's the difference between those who last and those who fade. That's the difference between the weak and the unstoppable. Discipline is a cycle, not a straight line. Forget perfection. It doesn't exist. The path to greatness isn't about constant suffering. It's about managing your energy, your focus, your willpower, so you never run empty. You train hard. You rest when needed. You push forward. You recharge. You repeat. You don't fight against yourself. You work with yourself. And when you master this balance, you become something terrifying. Because while everyone else burns out, while everyone else collapses, while everyone else falls into the cycle of failure and regret, you keep going. You never break. You never stop. Lesson 2 is over. Now what will you do with it? Lesson 3. Emotional alchemy. Tell me, what do you do with your emotions? Do you let them control you? Do you let them slow you down, keep you weak, keep you trapped? Do you allow frustration to paralyze you? Do you let anger make you reckless? Does laziness keep you from moving forward? Or do you weaponize them? Because here's what most people don't understand. Your emotions are not the enemy. You've been told to control your emotions, to suppress them, to calm down, to stop overreacting, to not let them get the best of you. But what if that advice is the reason you're stuck? What if the energy you've been taught to silence is the exact energy you need to break through? You don't need to fight your emotions. You need to forge them into power. That's emotional alchemy. The art of taking the raw, unfiltered energy of your emotions and turning it into something useful. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you convert them into fuel. Anger, frustration, pain, even laziness. Every single one of these emotions carries energy. Energy that can be controlled, redirected, used. Weak people drown in their emotions. Strong people bend them to their will. Which one will you be? The hidden power inside your emotions. Let me tell you something. Emotions are pure energy. Think about it. What happens when you're angry? Your heart races. Your body tenses. Your mind sharpens. It's a surge of power. But what do most people do with it? They waste it. They lash out. They lose control. And then there's frustration. That gnawing, irritating feeling of being stuck, of knowing you could be further along, of feeling the weight of unmet potential. Most people let it crush them. And laziness. People think laziness means they don't want to do anything. That's not true. Laziness is actually a desire for efficiency, a deep, instinctual urge to find the easiest way forward. The problem isn't laziness. The problem is that most people don't know how to redirect it. Emotions are not the problem. Your lack of control over them is. So let's fix that. How to transmute your emotions into power. Instead of letting your emotions control you, you hijack them. You take the raw energy and force it into momentum, focus, and power. First turn, anger into action. Anger is one of the most explosive forms of energy. It can destroy, but it can also build. If you let anger control you, you lash out, you make reckless decisions, you self-destruct. But if you harness it, it becomes a weapon. How to use it? When you feel anger rising, pause. Don't react. Channel it. Instead of venting, move. Lift. Run. Work. Create. Let the fire drive you, but never let it blind you. Stay focused. When you feel like you have something to prove it through your results, not your words. Example. Instead of punching a wall, punch the work in front of you. Instead of arguing, level up. Instead of wasting energy on pointless rage, turn it into unstoppable action. 2. Turn frustration into focus. Frustration means one thing. You know you're capable of more, and that's powerful if you use it. Most people let frustration make them bitter, make them quit. But frustration is just a signal. It's telling you do more. Fix it. Move. How to use it. When frustration creeps in, don't let it paralyze you. Let it sharpen you. Focus all that irritated, restless energy into correcting, improving, and pushing forward. Write it down. What's making you frustrated? What's the solution? No complaining. No pity. Just action. Let frustration be proof that you refuse to settle. Example. If you're frustrated about your progress, double down. If you're frustrated about a skill you haven't mastered, train harder. If you're frustrated about your results, analyze, adjust, and attack. 3rd, turn laziness into leverage. Laziness is not a weakness. It's a clue. It's your brain telling you that you either aren't motivated by what you're doing, haven't found the most efficient way to do it. Most people fight laziness. You don't fight it. You use it. How to use it. If you feel lazy, ask yourself, what's the simplest way to get this done? Use your natural desire for ease to eliminate unnecessary effort and work smarter. Create a system where the path of least resistance leads to progress. Make the right choices easier than the wrong ones. Example, if you're too lazy to cook, prep easy meals in advance. If you're too lazy to work out, find a form of exercise that you actually enjoy. If you're too lazy to work, make it so simple to start that it feels effortless. Laziness is just your brain looking for shortcuts. Instead of fighting it, use it to optimize your process. Master your emotions. Master yourself. This is the difference between being controlled and being in control. Weak people let emotions ruin them. They rage and waste their anger. They drown in frustration and give up. They let laziness make them stagnant. But you take the energy and make it your own. You don't react. You redirect. You don't suppress. You convert. You don't get consumed. You control. Because at the end of the day, your emotions are fire. They can burn you alive, or they can forge you into something stronger. The choice is yours. Lesson 3 is over. Now, what will you do with it? Lesson 4. Micro-failures as training. Let me ask you something. How many times have you failed? How many times have you broken your promise to yourself, slipped into distraction, fallen into procrastination, wasted another hour, another day? How many times have you looked at your reflection and thought, I should be further ahead by now? And what did you do? Did you beat yourself up? Did you let the shame eat away at you? Did you tell yourself you're weak, undisciplined, not cut out for this? Good. Because now you know exactly why you've been stuck. Not because you failed, but because you never understood what failure actually is. See, most people think failure is a wall, something that blocks them, something that stops them from reaching their potential. But the truth? Failure is the gym where discipline is built. Every single time you get distracted and pull yourself back on track, that's a rep. Every time you procrastinate, but eventually force yourself to act, that's a rep. Every time you slip, get frustrated, and choose to keep going anyway, that's a rep. Discipline isn't about never failing. It's about how quickly you recover when you do. And the people who win in this life, they aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who fail faster, correct faster, and move forward while everyone else wallows in self-pity. So tell me, how many reps have you done today? Rewiring your mind. The power of micro-failures. Think about how a muscle grows. You don't lift a weight once and suddenly become strong. You lift, you push, and you fail. Your muscles give out. But what happens next? They rebuild stronger. Your discipline works the same way. Most people think discipline means being perfect, never slipping, always staying focused. But that's a lie. Even the most disciplined people in the world fail every single day. The difference, they don't see failure as the end. They see it as a necessary rep in the process of getting stronger. Every distraction is a test. Every mistake is feedback. Every failure is an opportunity to course correct faster. That's how real discipline is built. Not through perfection, but through relentless correction. Let's break this down. How to turn every failure into training. 1. Recognize the representative. Most people don't even realize when they're training discipline because they see failure as a loss. That stops today. From now on, every time you catch yourself slipping, you recognize it as a rep in your mental gym. Got distracted? Good. Pull yourself back and you just did a rep. Procrastinated? Fine. The moment you start working, you just did a rep. Skipped a habit? Happens. Restart it the next day, and you just did a rep. Instead of seeing these moments as proof of weakness, see them as reps in the process of getting unbreakable. 2. Reduce the recovery time. Here's the real difference between those who succeed and those who don't. How long do they stay down? Some people get distracted and waste the entire day. Others waste a week. Some waste years. But the disciplined, they notice, correct, and move on within seconds. Your goal isn't to avoid failure. That's impossible. Your goal is to shorten the time between failure and correction. You catch yourself scrolling? Immediately stop. Don't dwell. Get back to work. You waste an hour? Fine. Make the next hour count. You broke a streak? Start again. No guilt. No hesitation. The shorter the recovery time, the stronger your discipline becomes. 3. Make failure a non-issue. Most people fail once and make it mean something. They spiral. They get emotional. They overthink. They start telling themselves stories like, I always fail. I have no discipline. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Bullshit. That's not failure. That's just one rep in a lifetime of training. The people who win don't take failure personally. They treat it like data. They look at what went wrong, make adjustments, and move forward without attaching any emotion to it. Failure means nothing unless you let it mean something. So don't. 4th, track your course corrections, not just your progress. You already track your wins. But what if I told you that tracking your recoveries is even more important? Keep a tally of how many times you caught yourself slipping and got back on track. Make a game out of it. How fast can you course correct? Reward yourself for noticing failures quickly, instead of punishing yourself for making them. If you start counting your corrections instead of obsessing over your mistakes, you'll start seeing failure as progress instead of defeat. Set a 3-second rule. Here's a simple, brutal way to keep yourself from spiraling. Anytime you fail, you have 3 seconds to course correct. You catch yourself wasting time? 3 seconds. Back on track. You miss a workout? 3 seconds. Plan the next one. You procrastinate? 3 seconds. Take one small action to break it. No guilt, no thinking, just action. Failure is not the opposite of discipline. It's the path to it. The moment you stop seeing failure as a problem, you become unstoppable. Because now, every mistake makes you stronger. Every slip makes you sharper. Every failure is another rep in the gym of discipline. This is why some people get results and others don't. Not because they never fail, but because they recover instantly. So from now on, every time you fail, you train. Every time you get distracted, you train. Every time you procrastinate, you train. And the more reps you do, the stronger you become. Because discipline is not about avoiding failure. Discipline is about how fast you stand back up. So tell me, how fast can you get back up? Lesson 4 is over. Now, what will you do with it? Lesson 5. Become the puppeteer of your own mind. Tell me, who really controls you? You think you do. You think you're in charge. But if that were true, why do you still procrastinate? Why do you still give in to distractions? Why do you still break your own promises? I'll tell you why. Because you are not the puppeteer. You are the puppet. Your mind isn't working for you. It's working against you, pulling you toward comfort, toward mindless entertainment, toward weakness. And that's why discipline feels so damn hard. Because every single day, you are fighting yourself instead of using your own mind to your advantage. But what if you didn't have to fight? What if instead of trying to force discipline through willpower, you rigged the game in your favor? What if you became the puppeteer, the one pulling the strings of your own mind, tricking yourself into progress so easily that failure becomes impossible? That's the secret. The strongest people aren't the ones with the most willpower. They're the ones who don't need it, because they've built systems that make discipline automatic. And that's what you're about to do. The illusion of free will and how to hack it. Most people believe they make conscious choices. They don't. They react to their environment. They follow habits they don't even realize they have. They obey subconscious triggers that dictate their actions before they even think about them. And that's the key to everything. Because if your brain is just running on programming, then why not change the code? Why not trick yourself into discipline? Why not design your environment so that success happens automatically? Let's break it down. How to trick yourself into discipline. 1. Make starting so easy. It's impossible to fail. The hardest part of anything is getting started. Your brain tells you it's too hard, too exhausting, too much effort. So you procrastinate. But you can override that. Want to work out? Don't commit to an hour. Commit to 30 seconds. Need to write? Just write one sentence. Need to study? Read one page. The moment you start, momentum kicks in. And suddenly, the thing you were avoiding becomes easy. The trick is to lower the barrier so much that your brain has no excuse. Once you start, you'll keep going. That's how you hack your mind. 2. Engineer your environment for discipline. Most people make discipline harder than it needs to be. They rely on willpower, not realizing that their environment is setting them up for failure. You need to reverse that. Make distractions harder to access. Delete the apps. Put the TV remote in another room. Log out of social media. The harder it is to access, the less likely you are to give in. Make the right choices effortless. Want to read more? Keep a book on your pillow. Want to eat healthy? Make junk food inaccessible and healthy food the default. Want to work out? Lay out your clothes the night before. Your brain is lazy by nature. It will always take the easiest path. So make the right path the easiest one. 3. Create automatic rewards for discipline. Your brain loves instant gratification. The problem? Most good habits don't provide it, but you can change that. Set immediate rewards for finishing a task. No guilt-free indulgences until progress is made. Use habit tracking apps that visually reward you for consistency. Turn it into a game. Small rewards for small wins, big rewards for big milestones. When your brain associates discipline with pleasure, it stops resisting. 4. Build a system of non-negotiables. Weak people rely on motivation to do what they need to do. Strong people rely on systems. Tie habits to existing routines. Example: every time I brush my teeth, I do 10 push-ups. Set hard rules that remove choice. Example: I don't negotiate with myself. I go to the gym at 6 a.m. no matter how I feel. Use social accountability. Example: if you skip your goal, you have to pay a friend $50. Once something becomes a rule instead of a choice, your brain stops resisting. 5. Create a failure safety net. Even with the best systems, you'll slip. The key is to prevent a small slip from becoming a complete collapse. Never miss twice. If you miss one workout, the next one is mandatory. Have a reset plan. If you fall off track, what's the first action you'll take to fix it? Treat discipline like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And when you take a hit, you recover faster. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about rigging the game so you win more than you lose. If you've made it this far, you're different. Most people won't. Most people will hear these lessons, nod their heads, feel that temporary spark of motivation, and then do nothing. They'll stay in their cycles. They'll keep making excuses. They'll keep waiting for discipline to magically appear. But not you. You came here because you're tired of mediocrity, because you're done with wasting time, done with being another nameless face in the crowd, done with watching others build their lives while you sit on the sidelines. So if you're new here, consider this your initiation. The GrimFace movement isn't for the weak. It isn't for those who want a comfortable, easy life. It's for those who are ready to take control, to rewrite their story, to step out of the shadows and carve their own path, no matter the cost. For those of you who have been here before, you already know what we're about. You've felt the shift. You've started breaking free. And now, it's time to push even harder. This movement isn't just about motivation. It's about transformation. So if you're ready to destroy the old version of yourself and rebuild into something stronger, something unshakable, something unstoppable, then subscribe. Join the GrimFace movement, because we're just getting started. And when we rise, nothing will stand in our way.